Midnight Drearies.
Detective Samantha Scott sat at her desk, staring at the latest victim's file. Another serial killer, killed in the same gruesome manner as the others. But this time, there was something different. The words "Midnight Maniac" were scrawled in blood on the wall. It wasn't the first time she had seen those words, and she knew it wouldn't be the last. The Midnight Maniac was a legend, a ghost story told by cops and criminals alike. He was said to be a serial killer with psychic abilities, who hunted down and killed other serial killers. No one had ever seen him, but the bodies kept piling up, and the rumors kept spreading. Samantha had been on the case for months, but she was no closer to catching the culprit. Every lead was a dead end, every suspect was innocent. She was starting to believe that the Midnight Maniac was just a myth, a story made up to scare people. But then, something strange happened. She was sitting in her office late one night, going over the case files, when she heard a voice. It was a deep, gravelly voice, unlike anything she had ever heard before. "Detective Scott," the voice said. "I know who the Midnight Maniac is." Samantha spun around in her chair, but there was no one there. She shook her head, thinking it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. But then, the voice spoke again. "Listen carefully, detective. The Midnight Maniac is real, and he's coming for you." Samantha's heart raced as she listened to the voice. It was like nothing she had ever experienced before. It was as if the voice was inside her head, whispering to her. She tried to shake it off, but the words stayed with her. Over the next few days, Samantha became increasingly paranoid. She was convinced that the Midnight Maniac was watching her every move. She started carrying her gun with her everywhere she went, and she barely slept at night. But no matter how much she prepared, she knew deep down that she was no match for the Midnight Maniac. Then, one night, she got a call from an unknown number. It was the Midnight Maniac. "Hello, detective," he said. "I see you're taking my warning seriously. But you can't hide from me forever. I'm coming for you, and there's nothing you can do to stop me." Samantha tried to keep her voice steady as she spoke to the villainous scum. She tried to get him to reveal his location, but he was too clever for that. He hung up the phone, leaving Samantha alone in her office, trembling with fear. She knew that she had to act fast. She couldn't wait for him to come to her. She had to find him first. She went over the case files again, looking for any clues that might lead her to the Midnight Maniac. And then, she found it. A pattern in the killings, a connection between the victims. She followed the trail, and it led her to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Samantha cautiously made her way through the dark rows of the warehouse, her gun drawn. She knew that the maniac could be waiting for her around any corner. And then, she saw him. He was standing at the end of the hallway, his back to her. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her gun aimed at his back. But before she could get any closer, he turned around. Samantha froze, her finger on the trigger. He was holding something in his hand, something that glinted in the dim light. It was a small, metallic object, and as Samantha looked closer, she realized what it was. It was a knife. But it wasn't the fancy jagged curved blade that the coroner said had made the cuts in most of his victims. He looked like an average schlub, like Gacy or the BTK killer. More like a slovenly, obese, alcoholic dad than a serial killer who kills other serial killers. The maniac grinned, revealing rows of crooked teeth. "I've been waiting for you, detective," he said. "I knew you'd come. You're just like all the others, so predictable." Samantha tried to keep her voice steady. "Put the knife down," she said. "It's over. You're under arrest." The maniac laughed, a low, menacing sound that sent shivers down Samantha's spine. "You think you can arrest me," he said. "I'm the Midnight Maniac. I'm untouchable." He lunged forward, his knife flashing in the air. Samantha fired her gun, but the bullet missed him by inches. They circled each other, like two predators sizing each other up, hiding behind crates and massive piles of discarded, misprinted Bibles. And then, something even stranger happened. The darkness around them seemed to shift, to twist and warp. Samantha felt a cold breeze blow past her, and she realized that the Midnight Maniac wasn't the only thing in the warehouse with her. There were other figures lurking in the shadows, other shapes moving in the darkness. They were like nothing she had ever seen before, ghostly apparitions with glowing eyes and ragged claws. Moving slowly all around the rafters and mezzanines and the tops of high shelving units, they schlepped and scraped about the place, inspiring a primordial fear in her. "What is this?" the maniac asked confusedly. "Are you doing this? You see them, don't you? How are you doing this?" Samantha didn't know what was going on, but she could tell that his fear was genuine. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain on the back of her neck and everything went black. The lead pipe she had been struck by clanked to the ground at the same time that she did. A masked figure stepped over her prone body and moved toward the bewildered man. "Who are you?" he asked, raising his knife and pointing it at the masked man. "I'm the real Midnight Maniac. Did you think I'd let you keep ruining my reputation, you fucking amateur? I should have taken care of you when I watched you kill that woman in Hyde Park and almost got yourself caught by that bike cop. But I saw this as an opportunity to bring the police queen into the game. She's about as dumb as you. I literally had to draw her a map." You saw that?" he stammered. "In the park? I see everything," he replied. "So that's it, huh?" The fat man's fear turned to anger. "You think you're God, don't ya? All-seeing, all-knowing. Well, maybe I'll just kill God then." He made strong but wild swipes with his knife at the Midnight Maniac. That's funny, coming from a guy named Tony Church. He easily avoided the sloppy chops of the heavy fanatic. "Alright, playtime's over." The maniac drew his jagged curved blade and began slicing Tony back and forth with excellent precision. It was like a bloody, spinning dance of death. With a solid downward stroke, the maniac severed Tony's hand from his body, the knife still clutched in it. Tony was paralyzed with pain. Next, the maniac took his head. Samantha woke up, her head throbbing. Her phone had been removed from her pocket and was lying next to her. The screen came on when she picked it up. Someone had taken a video and it was still up on the phone. She played it. There was a man in a hideously bizarre mask. He said, "Great Scott." Or should I say, mediocre Scott? You're not very good at this detecting stuff, are you? Anyway, I wanted to welcome you to the game. This lame copycat was mucking everything up, so I had to remove him from the board. Are you ready to play, my thin blue queen? Oh, and I'm keeping the trophy. He raised the severed head of Tony Church up to where it could be seen on the screen, then the video ended. Samantha knew this was just the beginning of a deadly game with the Midnight Maniac.